Okay, I think we're recording. Hey everybody, Vince with Green Joe Coffee, greenjoecoffeetruck.com, and where we teach people how to build coffee trucks, your #1 online resource for coffee trucking. So we've got some more questions coming from some people who bought my ebook, and just kind of dialing in a little bit here, so I thought I would share those with you. This one's coming from Kathy. So Kathy says, hey, I'm plugging away at creating my truck. Any advice on insurance? And so there's a couple different types of insurance you're going to need when you're buying your truck. The first one is just automobile insurance, right? So typically, like for that one, I use Geico. Nothing special. They have a good commercial policy that provides me with, in the event my truck gets into a wreck, that I would be able to have auto insurance policy on that. So I think I get like 50 grand on my side, 50 grand on their side, something like that. I don't remember the exact details. I apologize for that, guys. But yeah, so the commercial auto insurance, and we bundle it with like house insurance and stuff like that. They're pretty good about doing bundles. Geico, which is, by the way, Geico is, sidetrack. In my opinion, Geico is probably single-handedly the best advertiser I've ever seen in my life. I mean, they're everywhere. They're so witty, and everyone knows their slogan. 15 minutes can save you. Boom, we've all been brainwashed, right? So like, you want to look at marketing, look at Geico, great company. Anyways, so moving forward, so that is automobile insurance, and that's completely different than your general liability. What your general liability is like slip and falls insurance. So someone slips and fall, and typically I pull out like a $2 million policy, and if I'm going, any of the festivals are going to ask for it to be a policy shareholder. They're going to ask to be a holder on my policy, right? That's really very common. The company that I've used and who's worked really good for me in the past is a company called FLIP, Food Liability Insurance Program, Food Truck Liability Insurance Program. And their website is flipprogram.com, which is FLIPROGRAM.com. I'll put it in I'll put the link inside there, and you guys can pull it up from there. So the next question was, let me say why I like these guys, because you can just log in. They got an app. They got whatever. They can do it from your laptop. And adding a policyholder to your insurance, super easy, which a lot of times these event coordinators, they don't do this stuff for a living, right? They're throwing some party or something, some event, they're trying to raise money, and at the last minute they're like, oh no, my person that I'm renting this space from to throw my event needs insurance, can you send it immediately? And if you're working with an agent, then you gotta call them up or send an email. It takes time. These guys, you just log in, you put your policyholder in, and you can either choose to send an email to yourself and forward it, or you can send the email directly to the person. So it's cake. It's really easy to use, and they're like $300 a year, which comes out to, I don't know. I mean, it's cheap, right? So $300 a year for a $2 million policy is definitely worth looking at. She asked, the liability portion, and did you need a special permit to park in public space? So in my city, you don't need a special permit to park in public space. Any park is open to a food truck. Any public parking is open to a food truck, with the exception that you have to be greater than 100 feet at greater than 100 feet from a restaurant, without the restaurant's permission. Now, if the restaurant gives you permission, you're good to go. So we can park on this, again, this is my municipal, you need to look up yours. But in my city, we can park on any public parking spot. We can park on any private parking spot. So as long as we get the owner's permission, and that will supersede public rules, because if I'm on a private property that's not within 100 feet of the restaurant, the private property supersedes the public rules or whatever, because it's private property. So, which is pretty sweet. And then the last one is you got to be within 100 feet of a restaurant. One of my city councilors put that into place, and so that's the way the cookie crumbles on that one. The only time that I've been questionable on that one is there's a during the holidays they have this kind of like shopping. It's called Shop and Chill in my city, and what it is people stay open late during the holidays, these retail spots, so that people can come down and buy stuff. And they make a big thing out of it. They close all the streets off, and people put up special lights, and there's caroling and all this stuff, right? So it's a real big active event. It's at night, and so there's a lot of coffee sales. And Green Joe coffee truck has been known to be parked across the street from the Starbucks. May or may not have been 100 feet. I don't know. I never measured it. But I think that's the only time that I had to that it would have been questionable on whether or not I was breaking the rules. So, all right. So the next question is, how'd you get training on your espresso machine? I didn't. So the big thing for me is just, being able to know the difference between good espresso and bad espresso. And what we did, I wish I would have done this earlier, but what I started doing, rather than going, you can go to a formal barista school. They have those all over the country where it's a week long or 2 week long. And this one program shows you all these different steps on how to become a barista. And they teach about sourcing and roasting and all this stuff and give you really good information. Typically $2, $3, $4, $5 for these type of classes, depending on where you're going, their reputation, that sort of thing. Is there a return of investment? Maybe, maybe not. We got best barista. We were rated one of the best baristas in our city, and I never went to one of these. So, is it needed? I don't think so. Does it make it convenient? Yeah, sure, if you got the extra capital. But what I would encourage is I would look at, this is what I would do, and this is what I've done. So I'm passing my stuff on to you. Is, I look at the competition, and I see who's getting the best reviews, who's getting the most reviews, and I look at their negative reviews to see, sometimes there's some silly negative reviews. Being an entrepreneur, you learn when to let it kind of roll off your back. So I see if they have legit negative reviews, right? And if I see a company that looks like they have pretty good skills, then what I'll do is I'll actually approach the baristas and I'll offer them cash for training. And so, baristas make $9-10 an hour. They don't make a lot of money. And so, approaching them and saying, hey man, I'll give you, $300 for a couple hours of your time if you can show me how to pull a shot. A lot of them will be up for it, And then we did that. There was a guy who was just phenomenal at making. His name's Danny Snow, by the way. At making latte art. Really good. And so same thing, I just said, hey man, here's a couple $100, why don't you come down and show us how you're doing this latte art, and he did. He came down and showed us how to steam milk and showed us, hey, this is how you make steam milk for a cappuccino, this is how you make steam milk for latte art, this is how you make steam milk for flat whites. And so we had other guys that, other things in the past, like, we've had pour over classes, we've had camping classes, which is kind of cool. But so yeah, what I'll do is rather than taking that, $2,000 and throwing it into some corporation, I kind of bring it back into the community. And what you're doing is you're getting one-on-one training, and I think you're going to have a harder time finding the quality that you're going to get from these guys. Again, the research is on you, but at this point, I think it's important to realize you're an entrepreneur and that, you're hiring contractors to come in and take care of a specific job. And that specific job may be education and training, and I highly encourage it. I think the 3 pillars of business is having a strong education system, having strong quality, and having strong marketing. So if the marketing gets you in to taste a cup of coffee, and it's a quality cup of coffee, and we stay educated, I'm going to maintain you as a customer, assuming that all other things are in place, such as convenience and consistency. So anyhow, so that's my take on training. It's not the traditional route, but it's the route we took, and it worked. And so it worked at a reasonable cost without me having to go out of town and shelling up thousands of dollars on this training that may or may not be useful. At least in this case, you know exactly what you're getting. Hey, train me on steam milk, train me on pulling a shot, train me on brewing, excuse me. Anyways, that's my take on that. So, okay, my name is Vince. I own greenjoecoffeetruck.com. You can go down there, and that's where we sell our ebook. The ebook is the ultimate guide to building coffee trucks. It's a phenomenal book if you're learning how to research coffee trucking, or if you're just curious and you want to find out more about it, that's where I would say there's a blog on there, just tons of information. I put so much info on building coffee trucks in my blog. So that's all there. Please smash that subscribe button, hit the like, comment below. If you have a question on coffee trucking, I try to get to the comments. I don't always get to the comments. People that buy the book, they get my first priority. And so that's that. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time.